As we know, the ancient Egyptians were highly intelligent and had a rich cultural heritage, but how much do we really know about their physical appearance? Despite the wealth of information, the question on their racial or ethnic identity remains a mystery. As we discover the truth, a fascinating world opens up before us as we decipher tomb inscriptions, ancient writings, and captivating art. These relics offer insightful perspectives into a bygone era, but they also pique our curiosity about the real identities of those who left them behind. The Nile Valley, a region that was greatly impacted by a climatic shift approximately a millennium ago, is where the rich and complex history of ancient Egypt originated. The population of the Green Sahara became sedentary as a result of this shift, which sparked a large-scale migration. Subsequent population growth prepared the ground for major changes in the area. Meanwhile, in the southern part of Egypt, known as Upper Egypt, a new civilization emerged, with a king aspiring to expand his territory northward. Simultaneously, in the Delta, or Lower Egypt, kings influenced by Asian cultures aimed to maintain their autonomy. The distinct crowns worn by these rulers symbolized their regional identity. The hedjet, white crown, for the south, and the deshret, red crown, for the north. In the transformative year of 3100 BCE, the decisive conquest of the northern kingdom by the formidable southern king, Narmer, echoed. Narmer, adorned with the symbolic crowns of both Upper and Lower Egypt, ascended to the throne as the first pharaoh of Kemet, land of the Black people. This monumental event served as the catalyst that ignited the ascent of one of the most eminent civilizations in the ancient world. But did a second kingdom exist in the north of Egypt? Contrary to mainstream belief, ancient Egypt's origins trace back to the vibrant south, particularly Nubia. Here, foundational elements of Egyptian culture, including the writing system and art style, emerged. The iconic white crown worn by Pharaoh Narmer symbolizes Egyptian sovereignty, emphasizing the cultural roots in the southern expanses of Nubia. Also, Dr. Seeley directed Oriental Institute missions to rescue outdated artifacts from the rising waters of Egypt's Aswan High Dam. His team of archaeologists in Nubia discovered a tomb in 1963 that may have been 3,500 years old. Inside, they discovered valuable stones with unusual representations, palettes, mace heads, gold objects, and pottery vessels. 10 times more than what is typically found in the entire nation that supports the notion of Nubians having darker skin. In Egypt, these tombs would have been regarded as royal, and they were even older here. Examining the situation made everything abundantly evident. These individuals were monarchs who reigned 500 to 600 years after the initial Egyptian pharaohs. The most significant one was an incense burner with an image of an ascetic pharaoh wearing the white crown of Upper Egypt and a feline deity. It was proof that the pharaonic tradition and kingship originated in Nubia and extended northward as we often believe. Back then, people didn't really think about race like we do now. Instead, they thought about diverse cultures. Think of cultures like distinct groups of people with their own ways of doing things. In the Delta area, there were boundaries that separated these cultures. Each culture had its own tools, and you could find these tools in specific places. It was like a way of showing where people came from and who they belonged to. These tools helped tell the story of the people who lived there and where they originally came from. Maria Carmela Gallo, from the Academy of Science, provided evidence suggesting that during the breeding mastic period, there was a close connection between the people living in Nubia and those in Kemet, ancient Egypt. She explained that distinguishing between these populations during those early days wouldn't have made sense since Nubians and Egyptians were essentially the same. This challenges our current perceptions of the populations in these areas. The truth is that the original population, the true Egyptians, including the pharaohs, had their traditions and culture originating from these southern areas. Scholars observed that the crown symbolized rulership in ancient Egypt. In 1996, anthropologists Tracy Prose and Nancy Wesley examined the remains of the ancient people, discovering that the Nubian people had a higher status than their Egyptian counterparts. This aligns with finding relations to the Red Crown. Interestingly, These Nubians from ancient times resembled very ancient Nubian inhabitants from areas like Kush, where the oldest depictions of the White Crown were discovered. It suggests the possibility of an immigrant superior community establishing itself in Egypt. Further surprises emerge when considering the red crown found on black-topped pottery. Scholars explain that this pottery was a specialized type found in various archaeological sites, including areas in the Nubian Desert and Sudan. Its earliest occurrences date back to at least 7000 BCE in Nabta Playa. Combining this information with Maria Gatto's cultural integration findings, it becomes evident that the red crown, like the white crown, was a Nubian invention. This implies that many aspects of ancient Egypt were originated by black Africans. Did you know that ancient Egyptian culture might have been influenced by people from Nubia, a region in modern-day Sudan? As there is a lot that you don't know, keep on watching and make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to stay notified to find out the complete truth behind this history. The story questions the idea that northern and southern Egypt were completely separate. Instead, it suggests that ancient Egyptians were more connected in their culture than we used to think. This new understanding changes how we see ancient Egyptian history, highlighting the role of Nubia in shaping the culture of Kemet. The 25th dynasty, also called the Nubian dynasty, gives more proof of the intricate link between Egypt and Nubia. Well, this story alone is not enough to tell the origins of the ancient Egyptians. In fact, there are more findings that state that the Egyptians were black. Like Herodotus, known as the father of history, talks about the Egyptians a long time ago in his book Histories. But we need to remember he lived many years after the pyramids were built, and when Egypt was at its peak. Herodotus said that the Egyptians had black skin and woolly hair. Next, when Egypt came together as one, they started using hieroglyphic writing more. At first, it was used for keeping records, but later it became the main way Egyptians wrote things. They had another kind of writing called hieratic script for records, and hieroglyphics were used mainly for religious things. The way they wrote in ancient Egypt was quite similar to how people wrote in Nubia. Some people believe an old drawing called the Palliative Murmur suggests that ancient Egyptians were black. The drawings created around the 31st century of BC show a man with features that some link to black people. This drawing tells a story of a king's journey to become powerful. People also mention another piece of evidence, a statue had thought to represent King Narmer. This statue has features resembling those found in people from Nubia. However, some doubt if the statue is genuine or if it's a real ancient artifact. Egypt is not alone. It's connected to other countries and a whole continent with black people. So it's challenging to think that a big part of Egypt's population and influence isn't black. There's proof from old things in the mummy of Queen Nefertari, who lived in ancient Egypt. She had dark skin and curly hair. Her skin color was worshipped because it echoed the color of both the fertile earth and the netherworld and death. Another group often mentioned in connection with a black identity in ancient Egypt is the Kushites from the Kush Kingdom, which is modern-day Sudan. They ruled Egypt for some time, and their kings had a connection with the Egyptians. Ultimately, the diverse appearances revealed by ancient artifacts, the mummy of Queen Nefertari, and the influence of the Kushites from the Kush Kingdom collectively emphasize the complexity of Egypt's historical identity. Migration, cultural exchange, and the blending of diverse influences shaped the ancient Egyptian civilization, challenging simplistic notions of a monolithic racial identity. So how does this diversity challenge or reshape your previous understanding of the historical relationship between these regions? Let us know in the comments below. Stay tuned as we disclose more historical information in our next episodes.